And beginning next Monday, KUAM will launch a new segment being brought to you by our friends at Mount Carmel Catholic School with helpful instructional music tips for viewers. Here to tell us more about the new Music Matters segment and its purpose is Mount Carmel Alumni and Endowment Foundation Chairman, Attorney Mike Phillips. Mike, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Great to be here, Jason. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Okay, now, we're not supposed to inject ourselves into these stories, of course, but personally, I have got nothing but praise for you guys and everything for actually doing something on music education. This is a wonderful program that you guys have set up and everything like that. So tell us first about the Music Academy at Mount Carmel and then how this is playing on our stations.
Okay, well, to make it real simple in one sentence, it comes down to educating the complete child. And all the research and the literature and really the experience of the most experienced and knowledgeable teachers confirms that without music, children are incomplete. And the second part of that is if you introduce music, for example, into the life of an adult and he hasn't or she hasn't had it while she was young, they're really deprived because it's like motor skills. If you start learning how to play sports at the age of 17, it's kind of late. Your motor skills are just not developed. Music's the same. And so when we decided that our goal was to educate the complete child, it was just natural that music was one of those elements. And at Mount Carmel, it's not just music, but because we're really the only school that has that kind of celebration and that kind of effort, we appear to have a focus on music. But I always share with people, we may win the island-wide battle of the bands. We have 9 bands in our middle school alone. And when you come to our school, you think, well, this is the school of music. Well, it is, but it's only one class. We do that with everything. We do it with Chamorro, we do it with physical education, we do it with our Catholic religion, and of course we do it with math, science, social studies, language arts, and even art. And so you will find that in each of those subjects, and together they educate the complete child. And so this program now of demonstrating how music falls into, for example, and integrates with math, with science, even with physical education because of dance. We have the only dance studio in Guam in a school. And it's functional because it works with our youngest kids and their motor skills, and so does rhythm and percussion. We start at the very bottom with our youngest kids in rhythm and percussion because you and I were talking just before the show and talking about how math and really music go hand in hand in the formal stage. And the same goes for rhythm and percussion. The general estimate is with regard to music, 50% of it is rhythm. And so when we give our kids that foundation for 3 years, they take rhythm and percussion, then they move on to ukulele and guitar, then they move on to full band. That's our structure, but when you see that class, you also see it related to everything, including religion. We celebrate our Catholic faith by music. And so...
make a joyful noise with the drum.
Absolutely. And coordination and all that through dance and of course through music and rhythm comes into play when they grow up and they're in sports. And so whether it's science and the breaking down of sound or math and the breaking down of measures and notes and rhythm, they're all interrelated. And last but not least, for example, if you're a math teacher, you're a science teacher, the students you have before you, they've all taken art that day, they've all taken their Chamorro language, they've all had PE, they've all had music, and they're deeply rooted in their faith. They're a different child from what you'll find in other schools because we're able to offer those 5 extra courses. Some people might ask, wasn't that too much? Well, remember when we were growing up, if you had somebody play baseball, they were kind of labeled a baseball player. Our good friend Pete back there is a great baseball player. But if you ask us, did you also...
ping pong too.
Did you also play football? Did you play volleyball? Did you play basketball? Many of us did, but they were looked at as, oh, these guys are all-around athletes. Today, like our girls, 3 out of 4 championships, they took rugby, they took soccer, and they took volleyball. They came in second place in basketball. But nobody looks at that as a great accomplishment because students today, we accept that they can learn 3 or 4 sports, and that's not heroic. And so the same goes with subjects. You can learn music and art and Chamorro language and English and all the array of 9 different subjects that we offer. And it's really not a challenge to the students. It just makes them a better person. They're better prepared for college, and more importantly, they're better prepared for life.
Now, speaking of subjects, what types of lessons, will be played here on KUAM-TV? Because I know there's been a lot of people who have been calling us up and saying, should I be taking notes, and exactly how in-depth are you going to get and everything?
Right.
So what can people expect to see?
It's going to be a variety. We're going to start usually the beginning of each segment with the absolute basics. You know, what is this? For example, let's pretend we were doing a bass guitar. So we'll have one of our bass guitar players, or will always be a student, go through basic scales and have you be comfortable with that. And then we'll explain why scales are really the root to everything. Why, if you understand the 3 notes, for example, to a G chord, how that can transpose and make life a lot easier than you just kind of winging it. And we'll progress from there to how that scale would be used in a song, and then how that song would be part of the overall band, and then we'll show them playing in a band. And that's generally the format. Some areas are going to be more difficult to explain than others, and some areas will be more important. So, for example, if you're working off a regular guitar and you're working off basic do, re, mi, fa, so, and you're doing those scales, that's going to be very important. We're going to spend more time on it. Our goal at the end is to have people go out and get guitars, ukuleles, and join bands, and kind of have that celebration that existed when you and I were much younger, and bands were everywhere.
Oh, right.
There were no CDs. And when the record player and the DJ concept came into being, we've shared with our students, it almost killed the band, because there were actually, for many years, proms and fandangos and things like that occurred without a band. And we're kind of getting back to the point that your party's incomplete without a band, and we want to get back to that. It's all about the quality of life.
Okay, well, Mike,
all about quality of life.
Well, thanks so much for what you're doing for the Mount Carmel community and for the Guam community. And, you know, we here at KUAM, we are actually honored to be able to
it's going to be great.
Be a vehicle, and, you know, just to be able to pass that along to the community. So thank you very much.
No problem. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And stay tuned, because we will be back right after this.